Hey everybody, my name is Ryan Naylor and I am the founder and CEO of LocalWork.com, and I am so excited to kind of jump on this impromptu webinar to talk about some of our job fair secrets and success stories, some failures along the way. Reflecting back on the last 6 years or so, LocalWork.com has produced hundreds of job fairs between public events and private events that we help companies do. And we've helped 50,000 plus job seekers go through the doors of these job fairs. And we've seen a thing or two, and we've learned some lessons, and we've seen what companies do well and what companies maybe don't do quite as well and could use some benefit from. And so we felt like it'd be a good those lessons learned. Now we're at 6 years, over 100 events. Man, there's such a big change in demographic. When we started LocalWork.com, it was back in 2012. The unemployment rate, it was at double digits. In fact, the reason we started LocalWork.com was really because my lead developer and I, for a marketing agency that we were running, really realized that a big problem in our marketplace was that inability to connect with the local professional job seeker. You know, we wanted to help job seekers. We wanted to give them an opportunity to fight for their family and their opportunity. And a lot of candidates were applying into these big buckets of hundreds of applicants. And it was really hard to get any sense of, climb to the top. How do you even get attention with your resume with there being so many in there? And so I felt like events would be a fantastic opportunity to get job seekers face time with those decision makers and let them stand out from the crowd, let their true soft skills and their presence demonstrate their value to that employer, because they weren't getting visible with their resume alone. So we started building events. In fact, our first event we ever did was actually held in Phoenix at the Airport Marriott. We had 18 employers there. At that time, the unemployment rate was at just over 9%. And we promoted the job fair. We sent out a couple press releases. Just about every major media outlet picked it up because it was so exciting that there were jobs to help people get out there. And we came to realize that there was a lot more pain in our marketplace than what we anticipated. When we showed up to the event an hour before the event, just to kind of set up our few tablecloths and get ready, we already had about 200 people waiting in the parking lot for us to get there. And we did not know what that day would entail. We had probably over 1,000 people in line for a job fair inside the hotel, cutting through the reception area, down to the event hallways, lines back and forth. And finally, the general manager of the venue came up to me and put his arms on me and said, "Ryan, you need to start sending people home. There's probably another 400 to 500 people outside wrapped around the building waiting to get in, and we can't do it. And chances are they're not going to be able to wait in line long enough to even get a conversation with an employer." And at that time, it was really eye-opening. This was certainly an employer's marketplace. In real estate, you have your buyer's market and your seller's market, and the same in employment. You have your employer's market and your job seeker's market. And back in 2012, 2011, it was certainly an employer's market. They could get the pick of the candidates if they could find them, if they could filter through the right people. And so we really wanted to make that impression to job seekers that not all was lost. And we really rolled out a job board to say, hey, even though you might not be able to talk to the right person at this event, come back, jump on the website. We're going to get their job descriptions online, give you a chance to still apply, even if you didn't get any face time. And that's really where LocalWork.com began. It was really more of a labor of love, just to help people get back to work. And we certainly fell in love with the process, and we were able to do a lot of good along the way. And we continued at it, where every single month we were bringing new events, new employers to the marketplace and getting people candidates. And that's where we started to learn a lot of lessons. We started to see some things that we were not doing quite as well. And we certainly saw what some employers were doing well, what some employers weren't doing well. It was really interesting to see employers still complaining they couldn't find talent, even with such a high demand for job seekers everywhere, and they still couldn't find the right talent. So we've learned a lot of lessons. We've seen some good things along the way. What it really comes down to is you look back at 2012, certainly an employer's market to today. It's 2018. The unemployment rate in some parts of the country it's the lowest unemployment rate in some parts as much as 20 years. In Phoenix, Arizona, where we're based, it's a 10 plus year lowest unemployment rate that we've seen here. It is certainly a job seekers market. Things have transitioned 180 degrees. And although we're super excited about it, we love seeing a strong workforce. We love seeing a lot of people getting back into work and making the income that they deserve, that their talents demand. It's, we're starting to see a lot of employers that are getting frustrated. They're getting burned out. We're seeing companies having to fold shop because they can't afford to hire the right people. They don't know how to hire the right people. They can't compete. So it's a little bit of different challenge. And I felt like this would be a chance for me to jump online and kind of share some of those lessons learned. And if there's a few employers out there, we can give you some nuggets on maybe some ways to approach events, maybe even change your recruiting approach and start driving more candidates, more polished candidates that fit your company culture. That's certainly the benefit of today's webinar. So thanks for jumping in with me. This is super exciting. If you have any questions, jump on the chat below. If you're watching this as a recorded, we always go back into our videos and update our chats and commentaries, so feel free to do that. My social media handle, as you'll see throughout this, is Twitter handles @RDNaylor. You're more than welcome to tweet me, message me. My email is ryan@LocalWork.com. Shoot me an email. Happy to always answer your questions. But really what I want to talk about today is looking at this job seeker market. How do you really change? Because we see a lot of companies that were recruiting 5-6 years ago the same way they are. They're recruiting the same way today as they were 5-6 years ago, and it's not working, and they're getting frustrated, and they're feeling like it's the market and it's not them. The reality is you need to adapt. As the old business adage goes, if you don't adapt, you die. And that's certainly the case in recruiting. A lot of people are failing to adapt their recruiting process to today's labor market. Not only is the unemployment rate low, but you have a different demographic really hitting the marketplace. The entry-level job seekers, the folks just graduating from college or coming out of high school and they're looking for their first or even second job, they didn't experience the pain point of what we saw a few years ago. They're being more picky, they're being more choosy, they're getting offers. And that's a different approach for some of us that have been around a little bit longer and seen, being so picky. It just seems weird after seeing the unemployment rate being so high. They are. And so we have to understand how to work that demographic. I think the best way to illustrate that example is with a story. I was recently at Google for a conference, and this was completely mind-boggling what happened there. I was there for a conference for 3 days, had an all-access pass on campus, and my eyes were just opened with the amount of perks that a company could offer their employees. Not only did they have free shuttles driving you to and from work with Wi-Fi and snacks on the bus, they got volleyball pits, they've got horseshoes, they got a swimming pool outside their cafeteria that's completely covered and paid for. You can order whatever food you want. They had themed restaurants there on campus. If you want Italian, if you want a burger, I mean, it was just incredible. And it was hard to leave at the end of the 3-day conference. And as I did, I jumped in an Uber and I decided to do this shared ride, and I had a Google employee jump in the shared Uber car with me. And as we got talking, she asked me what I did, and I explained to her that we do recruitment marketing for companies. She said, "Oh, are you a career expert?" I said, "Certainly not, but do you have any questions?" She said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a new job." And my jaw dropped. I just spent 3 days contemplating if I should work here because it was so amazing. And she's saying she's leaving her job. And I said, I got to tell you, I'm surprised by what you just said. Why would you be quitting? Why would you be looking for a job? And she said, I don't feel appreciated. You don't feel appreciated? They've got a horseshoe pit and volleyball pit that was used from 8 in the morning until 6 at night when I was at this conference. There were people swimming. They were doing belly flop contests. You could eat as much food as you wanted on this campus. How do you not feel appreciated? They are giving you everything that you could imagine. She said, I don't feel like my manager respects me. I ask for performance reviews and he ignores them. I want feedback. I want to know the work that I am doing is having an impact, not just performing tasks to perform tasks. And I couldn't believe it. And as she laid out, she's getting offers from other companies. This is a linguistics data engineer. I don't know about you, that sounds sophisticated. I mean, she's essentially becoming one of the engineers that interprets what you're speaking into a device, puts it into a data format, and then spits back results in real time to what the consumer's looking for. I mean, that's just incredible insight. I'm assuming that person to recruit was extremely difficult to find, and she's wanting to leave. Not because of the free pizza, but because her manager, she didn't feel appreciated. And it shocked me in the sense that she was getting job offers that were 20 to 30% less than what she was currently making at Google. And she was about to accept one of them. And we exchanged contact information, and she followed up with me a couple months later, and she indeed did move on. And she found another job that she made 30% less at, but she said she loves it because she feels like it's an intimate environment that she feels welcomed and appreciated. So with that, I was in shock. This was a clear example that job seeker in today's labor market, it's not about the perks and the swag, although a lot of companies bring some excellent swag to job fairs. It's not about that. It's about paying attention to their emotional needs. It's about understanding each candidate for who they are as an individual and finding a purpose and a core value around your organization that might fit and resonate with that individual. And because of that, they might be willing to leave where they're currently employed, or if they're getting other offers that maybe even offer more, they're willing to accept less, knowing that their emotional needs are being satisfied. And I was doing a seminar recently to some healthcare professionals, and they said to me, Ryan, that doesn't apply in healthcare. So I said, actually, I disagree. And I found some stats, even back in 2014, when the labor market, it was still relatively high unemployment rate. And the healthcare professional said, yeah, hey, I will leave and accept less money if it means better culture, a better fit. And a lot of you might be saying, well, what does that mean? How does it resonate? Well, the research is already done for us, which is fantastic. Deloitte went out and actually analyzed all these job seekers and said, hey, what is it you want? Because if it's not money, what is it? And they came up with this 13 elements that drive job seekers' perception on a great job. The number one thing is work-life balance and opportunities for progress. That, to me, is what a lot of companies are failing to do at job fairs. Is they're not showcasing a lot of times they're just talking about the job description in front of them. I'm coming to an event, I've got to fill these roles, here's the job description, and I'm going to talk about these. And they fail to talk about what's going to really motivate, from an emotional standpoint, that job seeker. And so if you look at this list here, and you talk about a strong sense of purpose, job seekers value that. They don't care about the roles and responsibilities of the job. They want a sense of purpose. There's this intrinsic value of saying, I want something bigger than myself. And so when talking to job seekers, we found that these three elements is what really sets you apart as an employer. Who you are, giving us some backstories to really, who are you as an organization? Why should I trust you? What do you do? What industry do you pertain in? What kind of skill sets are required? But the most important thing that would resonate with a job seeker is why you do it. And I think that this is missed more often than not. We get so excited, or we want to move through that process talking to job seekers at an event. We talk about the roles and responsibilities, and we start pegging them with questions. Well, tell me about your experience. Do you have a resume? Let's pick that apart. Let's tell you why you're not going to be the right fit. Hey, move on along to the next table. And we don't talk about why we do what we do. If I was at LocalWork.com and I'm recruiting for a candidate, I would say we do this because we believe in the family unit. Our core value at Local Work believes that when people are fully employed, not underemployed or unemployed, but fully employed, they have a better family experience. There's so much stress that comes with being unemployed and underemployed. It breaks the family unit. It breaks households. Um, you've seen it. Everyone's experienced it some degree or another. Our purpose is to help people become fully employed at the right job. Now that resonates with some folks and it doesn't resonate with others. And to be honest with you, the ones it doesn't resonate with, they're probably not the right fit for our culture, and they're not going to be the best employee at our organization. So we don't want to move forward with them. And so, but a lot of times sharing that purpose drive is what is going to tell that job seeker to come back, circle through, follow up, and really showcase it. So to me, it starts with, you need to go into an event understanding your true raw emotion. What are those triggers to the job seekers? So let me run through a couple of best practice tips. I certainly want to give you some examples of what some folks are doing. The first thing is pre-event. What are you doing before the job fair? Now, Local Work offers something unique that a lot of other events don't offer, whereas we give you the full resume database of everyone that pre-registered for a job fair. So you can come in and you actually filter candidates by keyword. So I put in sales as our keyword here, and I went through, this is some old data, but as an example, as a screenshot, these are some candidates that applied to the event before the event. We can then go through these resumes, and what I've seen a couple of companies do is they jump on the phone. They find the candidate before the event and they say, hey, I see you're registered for an upcoming event. We're going there as well. I love your resume. If you have a couple of minutes, I'd like to just have some one-on-one time. It might only be 30 seconds, it might be 5 minutes, but at least I wanted to get to know you as an individual and see if it's a good fit. Does that sound like a good plan? That extra approach for a single employer that we watched do this, their line was through the back of the room because everyone felt that they were wanted, and they came to the event and sought that employer out to go have deep, meaningful conversations. And you better believe they walked away with better candidates because of it. Those candidates were emotionally vested in that employer. That welcome phone call and that sense of purpose and belonging drove them to come to the event and display a deeper sense of, commitment back to that employer. The employer may not have even been paying nearly what the other employers were paying for the same skill set, but that extra attention to making them feel like they had a sense of purpose. We go back to those things that job seekers value. Purpose is a major motivator, and it helps them feel like they have a sense of purpose and belonging. That's a big thing. So that's probably one of my biggest pre-event tips, is to jump in and nurture candidates. Let them know that you're there and that you've noticed them. Encourage them to come over and say hello to you. That is a big thing. Now, at the event, this is actually really fun. You might recognize, a couple of you might actually, they're watching this, might even see yourself here. But we went around and said, hey, we want you to write down some words, some soft skills that describe the perfect job seeker at an upcoming event. You said a job seeker displays this at an event. Write it down. What's that single word that comes to mind? And we had a number of them, from enthusiasm, assertiveness was a common one. Hey, we want people to show assertiveness when they come in and they talk to us. That's going to separate them from the other candidates. How does their attitude portray kind of them? We're judging them to see if they're going to be the right fit. What kind of confidence are they displaying? Here's the crazy thing. We went back and we actually surveyed the job seekers and we said, hey, you got a lot of options out there. You got a lot of employers. What are you looking for? You know what they said? We're looking for the right attitude. We're looking for the company that displays confidence, that they trust us as candidates. We want people that have a smile, so that I know that they're a good company by how welcoming they are to our organization. And you look at some of these pictures of companies that are doing it well. They're engaging with the job seeker. They're having deep, fun, emotional, connective conversations with these candidates. And what we find is the day of the event, the single biggest problem with the employers that don't have good experiences, their cell phone. They sit behind the table and they're scrolling through social media posts or emails. And I get it. We're all busy. We're all busy. But the job seekers, they notice that stuff. They notice if you really care to talk to them or not. If you're standing up and you've got your hand out and you're showing assertiveness with a positive attitude, come here, let's talk. What kind of work are you looking for? Let's see if it's a good fit. And if it's not, I've got a bunch of HR friends at other companies. Let me see if I can get you in the right direction. That approach to candidates changes the dynamic of a room, and it starts to draw the A players into you. Now, if you're sitting behind a table and you've got your papers up, your phone up, and you're not engaged with them, great candidates just walk right past you. And unfortunately, it is a job seeker's market. And we've got to be proactive to get the right people in front of us. We've got to be able to, tell the story. We got to tell that purpose, who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Get that candidate so bought into the opportunity that when they leave the event, they're still thinking about your opportunity because they fell in love with the purpose, your core values, what you deliver as an organization. That sense of taking the time to explain more than just the job description, we have found separates the top 10% of employers at our events versus everyone else. And we try and track this data. We try and analyze which companies are getting the best candidates, which ones are getting the worst candidates. And a lot of it really comes down to engagement. How are they actively telling a story? So a big part of it of LocalWork.com is it's not just about posting a job. It's not about just showing up to an event. We want to transform the way people look for work. We more importantly want to transform the way employers hire for that opportunity, because company culture is not just an inside the walls of your organization operation. Company culture is an extrinsic approach to showcasing who you are as an organization. And that culture should resonate, whether it be at an event, at a job fair, social media postings, how you live your life. It's a big part of recruiting. And so we found that when you showcase company culture and you lead with a culture first approach in your recruiting, you're getting a 5x increase in conversion rate. That's more resumes, that's better applicants, and that's better hires, because you're able to understand the job seekers' drivers, their motivators, and what's really hitting them at the core. So that's a big thing about local work. We are super committed to it. We've been building job postings and job boards, again, for the past 6-7 years. And we lead with culture profiles. And not only does that translate online, but the events. And I would challenge you to think about that as we approach some upcoming events. There's a lot of big career fairs, not only our events, but other college career fairs and community events. How do you tell your culture story? How do you let that be your leading indicator as if a candidate's going to be the right fit or not? It's easy. The easy approach is to lead with skills for the job description. The hard thing to do in recruiting is to lead with culture first approach. And so that would be my challenge is understanding how we can build a pipeline of, at an event, showcasing us as an organization, a culture, how much committed we are back to you, to give you that sense of purpose and belonging and leadership opportunity and growth, because you're going to find you're getting better candidates that are more committed to the organization. That's it for me. Again, this is my opportunity. I really wanted to share some best practices with you, some observations that I have made, and truly company culture is transforming the way companies are recruiting. And I think it's something that you can do better at. But I think it's something that as an industry of recruiters, we need to embrace better. We need to lead with our culture story and then talk about our skills for the positions at our organization. Again, my name is Ryan, CEO and founder of LocalWork.com. Any questions, shoot me an email. It's right there on the screen, Ryan@LocalWork.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Any new customers that are watching this, we understand culture marketing is so important to your organization. We'll do it for you. We'll give you our $500 onboarding package and just help you get online, get those culture profiles built. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. We believe in this so much, and we've seen a lot of successful companies doing it well, and we think you can do it well along the way. So anyway, thanks again. Look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care.